Attention all passengers. Welcome to the first night of Channel 4's 3-day mission through the cosmos. Please prime memory cells for incoming information.
The Venetians are here among us with great love.
9:20. How would you react to alien contact?
I'd probably wet my knickers.
10:25. A cult movie classic.
GHX 1138.
Midnight. Do-it-yourself sci-fi.
Hello, my name's Louise, and I'm #1 fan of Takeover TV.
12:35. Would you marry this man?
Good Lord.
Finally, a monster mash.
Everyone is ready now for action.
Your journey begins imminently with Beam Me Up, Scotty, a subspace transmission from Glasgow's Sci-Fi Convention. We hope you enjoy your trip.
Hello, my name's Craig Charles and I'm in Glasgow. Why, you ask, am I in Glasgow? I'm here for Intersection, the 53rd World Science Fiction Convention, and in this monster of a building behind me, over 5,000 people have showed up to pay homage to sci-fi. Now, before I pop my head round the door and have a look at what's going on, here's a little rummage for the lucky bag of treats that we've got in store for you, you lucky people. Okay, thrill seekers. On tonight's programme, we'll have the singing Klingons coming on strong, some fruity, futuristic fantasy. We'll be outing an MP and a QC. We'll have close encounters of a catwalk kind, and we can marvel at British comic superheroes. It was Pathé Pacific in the past, but you can tune in to news from the future. Beam me up, Scotty.
This convention is like a Babylon.
I'm here for the 52nd time at a World Science Fiction Convention. It was the very first one in 1939 when a young Ray Bradbury was busy getting autographs rather than giving them.
I'm Hiroshi Miyagi. I'm from Osaka, Japan.
My name is Jürgen Marzi. I'm coming from Germany.
I'm Silviu Ionescu. I'm coming from Romania.
Science fiction to me is the literature of ideas, and a place like this, an event like this, is an opportunity for exchanging ideas.
Worldcon is some place that you can forget the mundane world, you know.
In one word, it's friendship. You make friends from all over the world.
Well, this seems to be a mega event in what concerns the science fiction world.
Meeting people is the nicest part, I'd say. That they're very lovely, they're very friendly, open, and they're always ready to talk.
It bothers me that science fiction fans are seen as nerds, basically, but I don't know many people who are like that.
This reputation is really irritating sometimes, because that's why the media people tend to focus. They tend to focus on people wearing fancy dresses and telling some things about UFOs. And when people meet you and they first see that you're a normal, a nice person, and then you tell them you read science fiction, they say, well, okay. But it doesn't bother me, you know, when they think there's a little bit something wrong with me and say, well, that's their problem, not mine.
I'm a kind of fan who prefers The Prisoner to Star Trek. I know it's a little bit fancy, but you know what I mean.
As the saying goes, I've been a science fiction fan since I know myself.
In science fiction, I've packed into it a trip around the solar system and out to the stars and to the center of the Earth. H.G. Wells has taken me in his time machine, and it's an opportunity to live dozens of lives in one.
Science fiction means a kind of waiting for a sign, for a big sign from the skies. We are ready.
It's only science fiction, but I like it.
Well, fans may flock here from throughout the world. Excuse me, ma'am, where are you from?
Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But what makes these people tick? Well, to separate fact from fiction, I went straight to the top. Terry Pratchett, Britain's best-selling science fiction author. Does he think that fans live up to their nerdy image?
Anorak's pointy ears, that's an unrepresentative majority. I think what you have to remember is that these are people on holiday apart from anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kicking back and having fun. And I've spoken to management of hotels that have had SF conventions, and they say, it's great. We sold lots of beers. Everyone was very polite. You know, but last week we had the Rotary clubs. You know, we had to have the stairs repaired and the lifts fumigated.
But there is that kind of sad element to it, though.
I find them perfectly charming in every respect.
It's a serious society with a sense of humour.
A case could be made, however,
okay.
Dispassionately, that SF and fantasy are a genre that is absolutely tailor-made for people that don't fit in some way. Yeah. Because they're too intelligent, or they're the wrong size, or, you know, they can't quite get it together in some way. You can certainly make that case, and I think a lot of fans would agree that there is an element of that in it. But at the end of the day, what or how? You can make jokes about the fans, and often the fans enjoy it. Oh, yeah. You know, I've seen people with nerd pride badges, and, you know, glad to be sad. Down there, you will see dozens and dozens of bookstores. Yeah. And you will see the £10 notes flowing across the counter like a tidal wave. These are people, from my point of view, these are people who are buying and reading books on a continual basis. Long may they live, because I'm getting some of that money.
So, all in all, for you, sci-fi fans are the salt of the air.
Salt of the earth, yes. Pale and sharp, no, I wouldn't say that.
And conventions are unmissable.
Conventions are good fun. You can have a lot of laugh about it. On the other hand, you think, you get doing a lot of money, but on the whole, giving a lot of people a lot of pleasure, and for doing what you want to do in any case. And you look around and think, there's kind of no downside.
Science fiction movies have come a long way since the 1950 black and white Bs, with the evil scientist slaving away in his dungeon laboratory. 1995 has been the summer of science fiction. Movies everywhere have travelled to the outer limits of space and time. Batman Forever exploded onto the scene. Barely was the sweat dry from his previous occupant, Michael Keaton, when Val Kilmer was squeezing his cute butt into the famous rubber suit. It's a fast-paced action movie that's big on colour and special effects. But even they have to try and keep up with Jim Carrey's over-the-top antics. Take it away, Jim.
Batman, you say? Coming for you. I'm counting on it.
In a similarly futuristic city, Sylvester Stallone strutted his funky stuff as the legendary anti-hero Judge Dredd in a science fiction action adventure based on the British comic book.
Double whammy. Double whammy.
The year is 2139, and the most famous of the Megacity 1 judges is framed for murder.
I never broke the law.
The film is the perfect outlet for Sly's monotone voice and catchphrases. I am the law. As I always say, keep it simple, Sly.
I've never apologized.
This summer also saw the long-awaited arrival of Kevin Costner's Waterworld. As the title suggests, it's set in a future where the Earth is covered by water, and where the only refuge is floating cities or atolls. The thrust of the story is the battle between Costner's character, the Mariner, and pirate boss Dennis Hopper, playing the psycho with a worrying amount of ease.
Dry land is not just our destination.
Both of them are fighting for possession of a young girl, whose tattooed back is rumoured to be a map with directions to the mythical dry land. The only copy of the A to Z must have been lost overboard. Well, that's what's been, but this is to come. Johnny Mnemonic is based on the short story by William Gibson, writer of Neuromancer, Mona Lisa Overdrive, and creator of Cyberpunk. It stars Keanu Reeves as a bio-enhanced smuggler for hire. In plain English, this means Johnny can smuggle information in his brain.
More storage capacity. I can carry nearly 80 gigs of data in my head.
But the data's been stolen, and everyone's after Johnny. Everyone.
Double cheese anchovies?
Mortal Kombat is a science fiction fantasy starring Christopher Lambert as Lord Raiden, the god of speed and lightning.
We will decide the outcome.
It's a live-action adaptation of the hugely successful Mortal Kombat video game, where the main protagonists are engaged in a tournament to the death, or at least better box office returns than Super Mario Brothers.
One more victory.
Your soul. Finally, get ready for Species, where the nightmare of alien life forms becomes a terrifying reality.
Brad. Oh my God, I've never seen anything like this.
It's your classic science fiction alien horror, where earthbound scientists tamper with alien DNA with potentially fatal results. Now you'd think these scientists would know better. Haven't they seen all the other classic science fiction alien horror films?
Tommy's about to copulate with a creature from outer space.
Using all the latest morphing techniques, Species is an alien for the 90s. Well, I'm bound to find what I'm looking for here. Rock, pop, no. Top 40 soul, no. Rap, no. Reggae. Excuse me, do you work here?
Yeah.
I thought you sold every type of music.
We do. What is it you're looking for?
Filk music.
What?
Filk rhymes with milk.
Sorry, I've never heard of it.
You've never heard of it? Jeez, I thought I'd get what I wanted here. 26 requests on national radio, 15 record shops, and still no Filk music. These buskers here, do you know any Filk music?
Yeah. Yeah?
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, great, well, give us a tune. Oh, go on, give us a tune, give us a tune. Music in the ilk of Filk. What is Filk music?
It's the folk, well, not just folk, but it's the music for science fiction fans. It covers science fiction, fantasy, science facts, cats, computers, anything else that happens to be a topic of conversation for fandom.
Well, I mean, you say it's not just folk, but I mean, that sounded pretty folky.
Yeah, it was, but some of the stuff I do, I play in about a folk band called Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the stuff we do is straight rock.
Straight rock?
Yeah.
I'll have one more photon torpedo, Harry.
Hello, is that Chris Evans, Radio 1? Yeah, Chris, you think you know about music? You know nothing, man. Get a load of this. This is the future.
I should happen to fall off my seat. Just let me slip to
Back in 1963, in Vostok 6 she flew. Those few bright days in sunny June, when all space flight was new.
If you remember, Helen Sharman was the first British astronaut, and I wanted to write a song that celebrated this. And I suddenly realized that she was born in the year in which Valentina Tereshkova became the first woman in space. And having worked that out, then of course I could write a song which dealt with not all, but most of the women who have gone up into space.
The future, making the dream live on.
I mean, do you have a Filkers convention?
Yeah, there's one every year. Valerie's wearing the T-shirt.
And it's called Obliterate in Milton Keynes in '96. So if you want to be where it's happening, where the people are, where the hipsters, flipsters and finger-popping daddies are going to be, it's Milton Keynes.
Valentina's footsteps on that long road out to the stars.
Not all science fiction fans stick out like an anorak in August. Sometimes the most unlikely people are advocates of life beyond the stars.
I've been a fan of Star Trek really ever since it first came out. Not the new version of it, but the original version. And I suppose I've seen all the originals several times, and the films, goodness knows how many occasions.
I'd watched The Outer Limits and Twilight Zone, you know, when I was a lot younger, and Star Trek was the next one to come along. But it was Star Trek that triggered my interest in science fiction in general, so I've always retained a kind of affection for Star Trek because of that.
Some of the gadgetry that was involved was simple, and it actually looked as though it could work. You didn't feel that you were just looking at some very clever special effects. And I suppose the most important thing was the fact that the characters were right. It was like the really successful sitcoms, if you think of Steptoe and Son and Dad's Army, the people who were the actors suited the characters that they were being asked to play.
I think what people forget is that when the first Star Trek was coming out was at the time when the whole idea of the space, exploration was very current. As a young teenager, I remember my father taking me down to watch John Glenn's capsule going around the world, and you could actually see it when he was up for 4 days. And I remember being taken down to watch that, and then the whole business about landing on the moon and things like that. The whole concept of space travel was one that appeared to be just about to open up enormously, and of course that didn't happen. But Star Trek was along at that particular time. I read the books and I watch the videos. I mean, I'm absolutely up to date with Deep Space Nine and with Star Trek Voyager, which of course is the 4th Star Trek series. I've got various bits and pieces that people give me birthdays and Christmases. It's like owning a cat, which I do as well, or interest in Star Trek. I mean, people always, opt for this as the easy option when you need to buy presents or anything. So I've got a variety of bits and pieces that folk have given me. I mean, the Spock stand-up was a present. I've got an Enterprise telephone that I was given as a present. I've got a phaser and a communicator and stuff like that.
Well, I think I'd like to meet a Klingon because they are the archetypal baddies. And I think it would be interesting to find out just what makes these people tick. I think there's something very deep and sinister about them. Plus the fact nobody who is that ugly can be real. Donald Finlay, Queen's Counsel.
Nuchnech, Gnois Kragen, Klingons Unite.
Sit down. I suppose in my line of work I've probably defended quite a few Klingons over the years, albeit they didn't admit to where they came from. I've met quite a few baddies, but you lot are in a class by yourselves. What makes you so evil?
I think it's the way, the style of the uniform and the clothes that we wear. They look evil. When we walk through the streets, it's like Moses parting the waves, as your Terran sayings go. They all seem to get out of our road.
And of all the people that you've met, who would you most like to destroy? Romulans, Vulcans, Earthmen, or lovers of country music?
Lovers of country music.
I think we would all agree about that. And as we say in Scotland, gone yourself. Nice to have met you.
Nice to have met you, Noel.
Well, I certainly don't feel sad and pathetic, and none of the folk I know that like Trek are sad and pathetic at all. Most of us are incredibly busy with very, very serious jobs indeed. So maybe Trek is the kind of antidote to what we do in our lives.
Oh, I don't regard it as a confession being into Star Trek. I think anybody who is not into Star Trek has led a very deprived upbringing. I think Star Trek is necessary watching for everybody.
Science fiction fans seem to have a reputation for wearing costumes and dressing up. In fact, one of the biggest things in any convention is the Masquerade Ball, where conventioneers compete for best in show. Well, why do they do it? This is Craig Charles for Beam Me Up Scotty. Finding out.
It's a Tanu, which is an alien being from a series of books by Julian May. It's got alien beings in it, but it's set back in Pliocene Europe. People travel back in time, but once they get there, they're stuck there. And to a lot of the people there, the powers that the aliens have, the mind powers, could seem like magic.
How long did this one take to make?
Well, 2 years in the making and about a year in the planning. It's the most expensive and glitzy costume I've ever worn.
It's a Star Trek Borg suit that I've got made up. It's 2 in the world. Just bits from the house and roundabouts, radios, shower units, central heating stuff. There's even a camera, as you can see.
Is that a hot costume? I'm just asking that because you're looking a bit pale.
Yes, that's very warm. It's Kevlar neoprene. It's extremely uncomfortable.
Why do you do it?
It's something to do on a wet night.
And for Riverhead United, there's a change from your printed programme.
Welcome back to Beam Me Up, Scotty. Now, when I was a kid, comics meant Dennis the Menace, Beryl the Peril, My Friend Desperate Dan. And when I got a bit older, it was Johnny Fartpants and Billy the Fish. But science fiction comics have got something a little bit more deadly lurking beneath the surface.
You don't necessarily have to be a fan to be in comics.
Good comics are as much art as good film.
It's the closest to slave labour of any other form of art.
You can do things in comics that you can't do in a computer game or a film.
If you want to make money, I'd suggest that go and read lots and lots of comics.
There are certainly a lot of science fiction aspects. Most of the work I'm doing, I mean, Judge Dredd is based in the future, and it is based on scenarios that could be forecast from today. I mean, the Mega City 1, the growth of cities into beyond all imagination is something that's happening in various areas.
One of the good things about science fiction is that, particularly if it's futuristic, is that visually you can come up with any style you like. And obviously people can't actually say, well, that shouldn't look like that because it hasn't, I mean, it's not here yet.
Comics certainly seem to be dominated by men, certainly in the creative side and the writers and the artists, and in the readership stakes, obviously. It just seems to appeal to people in a boy's own sense.
I think it's great for adolescents to have male fantasies, so I'd be too happy to write for them the rest of my life. I think there's hardly any women working in comics because the guys generally are a bit weird, I think anybody who's still reading comics over the age of about 10 or 12 really, should be seeing a psychiatrist. There's something wrong with you if you're into it.
Actually, you can describe a small, plain-looking woman character, and the next minute you'll see it in the wait a minute, there's Pamela Anderson there, because that's because that artist has got photographs of Pamela Anderson.
Comic writers are a bit, sneaky, backhanded type of people. Oh, generally, what I usually find is that artists always tend to look at each other's work and see the good points in it, and you never hear a writer saying, I like so-and-so's writing, or quoting another writer as being an influence of theirs, where artists do that all the time.
I think I'm usually quite disappointed with the art, just because there's far too many comics produced just now, and the few good people that are working in comics are spread very thinly. And I mean, Marvel Comics, one of the two big American publishers, they bring out 200 comics a month just now, whereas 5 years ago they were only bringing out 30 or 40. And I don't think there's been an explosion in the number of good creative people. Some of the scripts which I receive from writers are very, very good. In the way that they write the story clearly and fully and explain everything so I know what's going on. But they also leave room for me to put my part of the story in. And you just get some writers who write telephone books, pages upon pages upon pages of absolute drivel.
About 75% of the time you're pleased with it. At the moment, most of the artists I tend to ask for, I seem to get them working with me, so it was a bit tougher when you're first starting out, because when you're a new writer, they'll tend to say, well, we'll start them off with a new artist, and sometimes their first few jobs, they might not be up to scratch. You really are in the artist's hands.
I tend not to talk to them too much. I mean, usually what I do is send scripts to artists and hope for the best. And generally I found that the British artists I've worked with are a lot more dedicated and a lot better at what they do. The American artists seem to be very much geared to production line standards. With the British artists, usually you get back something which is more than you expected. It's kind of what William Burroughs called the third mind, and you get two people coming together and actually creating something bigger than what the two of them could have created on their own. It's a much more synergistic sort of thing, to use an old hippie word.
Not quite sure how far there is a comics future, but there always will be one, because it's something unique. It has all the best aspects of books and films and music and whatever other bit of media you want.
The main threat that comics have right now is from video games. And I think what comics can still do that video games don't is provide emotional involvement. And certainly in the popular comics that young kids are interested in, there's a really strong soap opera element. And until games can produce that kind of level of interest in the characters in the games, then they won't be able to compete with comics.
Writing comics is just like kind of being a kid again and just putting on a towel over your back and playing at being a superhero, because you're just sitting making up stories, and you know, if you enjoy them, it seems such a shame to get paid for them.
You don't have to grow up if you don't want to. That's the best thing about it.
Nowadays, news presentation changes as fast as the news itself. Satellite links bring the news instantly into your home, whilst the graphics they use would make Reggie Bosanquet fall off his bar stool. But the news is just someone dressed in their Sunday best talking at you from behind a desk. However, science fiction fans in America reckon they've come up with how the news will look in 150 years' time. And throughout this weekend, we're going to be sharing it with you, you lucky people.
Welcome to Comlink Satellite Service. You have selected Faster Than Light News Feed for Monday, 3 April, 2145.
Forget Channel 4 News and News at 10 and make way for Faster Than Light News from the 22nd century.
The fraud and forgery wing of the Inter-Combine Police has...
Israel does not have a faster-than-light drive.
There's still no word of the whereabouts of missing R leader Kyle Swan.
News from the NAU.
The Earth First Brigade rules! R is dead.
We go to the Red Planet for a live statement. The
Created by
question
Matthew
lingers.
J. Costello and
Can we
F. Paul
trust
Wilson for American cable TV's Sci Fi channel, Faster Than Light News is a daily 1-minute bulletin which comes from a world of its own.
We were extrapolating from this world to another world 150 years from now.
Citizens of the world.
The foundation of the FTL Bible we created is nothing is what it appears to be.
Oh, I know what they're up to. I know what they're up to.
Because you can present whatever image you wish to the world. And that strand went through the entire Bible we created.
Beamed to Earth from the massive Comlink satellite station, each bulletin is hosted by a nameless virtual reality anchorman. That's newsreader to you and me. And this guy is no Jon Snow.
Rumors of new trouble aboard the Nautilus continue.
The anchor is sort of our version of a mood ring. I mean, he changes color, his background changes color, he splits and divides and does any number of effects, which just sort of designates the mood of the piece.
Rilo 7 has become visible to the naked eye over the northern hemisphere, only hours away from a collision with Earth. There's a kind of hush all over the world. Who planted the intelligent computer virus aboard the Nautilus? No one seems to know for sure.
To be distilled to pure information is the highest form of existence.
We also had to figure out the whole shape of the Earth, the socio-economic, political aspects. And so I think we were influenced by what was happening in the EC.
So that was really the foundation of our world. The fact that individual states will come together for economic survival and become clusters, and we came up with 5 combines.
The leaders of the 5 combines have already left for their respective moon bases, while their virtual reality alter egos continue to hold crisis management meetings in the VR net.
We created characters for all of the combines, and those characters were designed to really further the stories. The Hispanic Commonwealth, we had Rodriguez, and we also had people in the EC and the Asian co-prosperity sphere.
Confused? You should be. But as of today, the headlines in 2145 are dominated by the big economic powers. But it's not all politics. Another recurring news story is the internet,
An emissary from the past.
which by 2145 is the standard method of communication. But surprise, surprise, this isn't to everyone's liking.
I still say the virtual reality net should be shut down.
29 March, 2145.
But essentially, news values are not so different from today. Favoured topics for developing stories include your basic environmental panic.
Danny Fox is spreading everywhere, sucking up oxygen wherever it grows. And if we want to see what that means, all we have to do is look at the very red, very dead planet Mars.
Intergalactic terrorism and its charismatic exponents.
The battle for the soul of R has been joined. R was never about death and terror.
The last little visitor has some incredible
And
news.
minor celebrities desperate to publicise their private lives.
Mattia and I wish to announce our, short engagement.
Well, that's the news from 2145. It's snappy, brash and garish, and is brought to you by a baldy bloke whose face changes colour more often than a drunken teenager. And I bet Michael Fish wishes he could do this.
The ozone depletion alert is centered over this area of the Midwest. Macro weather is working on the problem, but for the next few days...
Now, the reason I took this job is because I'm such a science fiction superhero. But I thought I'd better bone up on some of the literature. Now, you might expect to find intergalactic horror, tales of daring do, an investigation by an alien private dick. But this stuff is positively steamy. This would make Tweaky blush. Hey, hey, saucy sci-fi. Beagly, beagly, beagly.
Unbelievably welcoming. Come do it to me. Do it. Do it. Here and here and here and now. You couldn't see the rest of her, only a wicked flash of mouth. Every human male in the room was aching to ram himself into that incredible body. I mean, it was pain. Even the other aliens were quiet, except one of the Syrians who was chewing out a waiter.
With our sexuality, various things control it, various factors in the material world, everything from our economic situation to our sociological situation, the manners and mores of the time, and if you postulate a time in which those manners and mores are different, you can bring certain other things to the fore in your writing about sexuality, and then that's one of the ways science fiction allows you to sort of play with the idea of sexuality and change it.
Science fiction writers and fantasy writers can use their imagination more. They're not tied to the everyday, so they can speculate more wildly about relationships.
But is this healthy?
Well, I don't know. Judging from most of the stories I see, I would think it's healthy to get it out of their system.
One of the main things I write about is a civilization called the culture. And in the culture, things are arranged sexually bloody wonderfully, actually. I mean, it kind of comes down to, gosh, we're doing a lot of metaphors here, aren't we, and similes. It comes down to sort of a bit like sort of car mechanics, whereas like standard humans might be compared as having sort of rack and pinion. In the culture, they have recirculating balls.
If a mid-20th century Orthodox Freudian were to present Farron with a theory of penis envy and sublimation, he would probably have said, "The only thing is I envy them too, and I've got one, nor is it small, and heaven knows I don't sublimate, I go right for it."
Almost all sort of literature was sexist in a sense, if you go back long enough. I think science fiction, because it was written by, and so in an instant the way it was, because a lot of it was written by, you know, guys who are a bit awkward, you know, around the women folk, you understand? There were lots of American engineers, you know, that did.
I'm not sure that was sexist. It was just
But every time they landed on the planet, they were all gorgeous sort of women with
well,
like...
wish fulfillment, wasn't it?
You know, I wasn't complaining, you know, but it did seem, you know, they used to land on all these beautiful planets with...
And of course, all the covers had big boobs, you know.
Yeah, they said things like savage women,
yes.
you know.
I think science fiction attracted a lot of people simply because it was seen as a kind of oppositional writing. It was seen as having more room for sexual variation and presenting sexual roles, even as far back as the 40s and 50s.
Ha! He laughed. Listen, he arranged himself in what would have passed for a lotus position on Earth, had there been a floor to sit on, and put one hand on his hip while pointing the other vaguely to his right. They are the ones obsessed with sex. Do you know how many words there are in English for penis or vagina? Hundreds. Hundreds. How many have we got? One. One each for common usage as well as for anatomical description. Neither of them swear words. All I do is readily admit I want to put one in the other. Ready, willing, and interested. What's wrong with that? Very few men who kind of fantasize about, you know, whether it's straight or, you know, homosexual or bisexual, whatever, who haven't wondered what sex is actually like for a woman, you know. Well, in the culture, you can find out if you want to. It's not compulsory. And imagine women must wonder what it's like for men. And I think everyone would agree that orgasms, just not long enough, damn it. You know, I think you'd probably also have to have a sort of a beefed up, you know, sort of cardiovascular system as well. Just you don't literally die of a broken heart. Sort of thing, yeah.
Do you think men and women will become fundamentally incompatible in the future?
I hope not, but on the other hand, testicles are a lot more alien to women than tentacles.
In the sexual future, what would your favourite society be?
Oh, I suppose it would be one where you had, where sexual health was considered having a fair amount of solitary sexual experience. At the same time, you were also supposed to balance that with a fair amount of sex with one or two or a few cherished individuals that you had permanent relations with, and at the same time, you were also supposed to balance that with a fairly broad range of sexual experience with a whole range of different people, strangers, people that you saw only very briefly. The idea was to sort of mix and match those in such a way that you achieved a nice balance. That's the one I try for myself.
You just sound like you want your cake and eat it, mate.
Well, don't we all?
Yes.
Don't we all?
Premiered at this year's Star Trek convention in Glasgow, Nente tells the story of a young man's coming of age. It's a powerful piece, where the narrative is driven by movement, percussion, and primal howling. The text is almost Brechtian, delivered as it is in classic Klingon. It's opera, Jim, but not as we know it.
It might be violent by human standards. It is not really a very violent story. It's quite a simple tale. The story is based on Klingon tradition. It's a legend surrounding the ritual of Nente, which is the rite of ascension of a young man or boy to carry arms and weapons. In the story here, a farmer's boy offers to take the king of this particular part of the country to defeat a monster. The essential Klingonness of it is something I think humans can learn to appreciate slowly, gradually. That's why we chose this form, what they call speak song. It's mainly chanting and partly speaking to rhythm, which I think is very easy for the human.
Well, so you say, but let's ask some human experts.
When we sing in foreign languages, we have super titles, and obviously this is done on a small scale, and they're all very, very committed and really believe in what they're doing, and they do make the story clear to a certain extent, but the super titles would help.
Yeah, I would say so. Or somebody signing for the hard of understanding.
What you saw here was a very small extract of a 4-hour story. This is just the little climax at the end, and we simplified the whole thing down for a human audience to understand.
Okay, it's sung in a foreign language, and it's a bit avant-garde, but it might catch on. After all, Madame Butterfly caused a few jaws to drop when it was first performed. So, is Nente destined to be the next Carmen?
I don't think we'll be seeing it at Kleinborn.
Well, you never know.
Maybe next season.
That's it from me, Craig Charles. That's it from Beam Me Up, Scotty. Have a great weekend. Party down. May the 4 be with you. Bye! Bye!
Attention, incoming transmission, on screen.
Hello? Hello? Greetings, space hoppers. Vinch of Venusian Video Jock here, saying hang up those anoraks and meet those who have made contact. In advance of the landings next, but first, a newsflash from your future. All right? Not off.
Welcome to Comlink Satellite Service. You have selected Faster Than Light News Feed for Monday, 24 April, 2145.
Jack B. Nimbus is back. However, he's no longer CEO of Macroweather and no longer Jack B. Nimbus. We'll let him explain.
Raptor,
I'm now CMC, Chief Meteorological Consultant for the Islamic Federation, managing their climate control and making sure the Sahara grasslands stay green. Well, along the way, I also changed my name to this symbol.
How do we pronounce that?
You don't. You can simply refer to me as the bureaucrat formerly known as Jack B. Nimbus.
Thank you, Jack.
Not Jack.
Now, the bureaucrat formerly known as Jack B. Nimbus will be an FTL regular commenting on weather both on-world and off-world.
Imagine you were among an elite.
You were the Luke Skywalker to his Obi-Wan Kenobi.
You could visualize anywhere on the planet.
You just decide, well, I better get in the building, and bingo, there you are.
Locate an individual.
Like Muammar Gaddafi.
Psychically spy.
So it wasn't your average bunch of soldiers?
Well, yes and no.
Uncovered for the first time, this is the realm of the real X-Files. Tomorrow at 9 on 4. It's all in the mind.
People that are visiting our planet.
We're going to benefit if we can ever make contact.
They will be friendly aliens.
We have no idea what's out there.
Starships.
It is the biggest story of all
To
time.
happen in more than one place in the world.
Probably to occur in Washington, D.C.
In 2001.
I understand from many sources that in the year of 1956 there will be great mass landings, and then the question of flying saucers can no longer be denied.
Flying saucers have invaded our planet. Washington, London, Paris, Moscow are key targets. The whole world is under attack. Can it survive? Never before has the screen reached such heights of excitement, breathtaking spectacle, hair-raising terror. See great cities leveled by flying saucer monsters.
People of Earth, attention. People of Earth, attention.
I think it would be just mass panic. Because we see so much. You see so much on TV about all these terrible things, body snatchers and, you know, this kind of thing. And that's the image that people have. And I think that's what would happen. People would just be so afraid.
I probably couldn't get near it. I wouldn't want to get near it because, you know, there'd be all these boneheads running around, you know, just like an accident, you know? The same thing is what happened if there was an accident, the guy was bleeding. Everybody crowd around, jam traffic, cause problems, so I just stay as back as far as possible.
I would probably just stand way over there somewhere and just look, you know, and just see what happens.
Probably run. I got a lot of living to do and I don't want to be a specimen of any kind.
There would be no more exciting thing that could occur in this Earth than if we were to be visited by creatures from some distant civilization.
I'd probably wet my knickers.
Yes, the world at large is fascinated with so-called flying saucers. However, they do not fly. They oscillate in between dimensions.
Well, now tell me, do you believe these come from outer space?
Oh, very definitely.
Well, whereabouts?
The various planets, we know that they can come from the, say, for example, the moon, or from Mars. They're not too far from the Earth that we know of, and also that they have what you call a mothership, so they can take off from there.
Mm-hmm.
I have piloted many spaceships, starships we call them.
Hello. You're witnessing a rather remarkable phenomena. This is the space car of the future. We are, in this manner, showing you the reality of the meaning of extraterrestrial intelligence and the arrival of spacecraft and the brothers who are upon these craft from other planes, Earth planes similar to our plane here. The Unarius, this organization, a vast brotherhood of advanced human beings, were concerned for man's spiritual evolvement, was founded by Dr. Ernest and Ruth E. Norman in 1954.
I am Uriel, the director and founder of this organization, Unarius. Our mission is to teach people that whatever man has done in the past, good, bad, or indifferent, he will repeat it in the present. Man lives forever. There is no such thing as death. He may change different bodies, which I expect to very, very soon. You may call it die, leave this body. I have lived in this body 90 years. I was born in 1990 Hunter.
The cosmic generator is a way of trying to tell mankind that an infinite mind that has incarnated as Uriel, through her energy and understanding, is able to and does sustain the planets. And the little lights that going from one planet to another are symbolic of the electromagnetic fields of energy that are a part of an infinite mind that sustain these planets in their orbits, and also energy is constantly in motion and constantly regenerating itself, as you might think of it as perpetual motion.
Everybody, every soul, whether he knows it or not, is working to become a space brother where he can teach and lead others.
Well, do you believe in flying saucers yourself?
Oh, very definitely.
You ever seen any?
Yes, I saw one about 3-4 weeks ago.
Whereabouts?
That's 13th Street and 6th Avenue.
Right here in New York?
That's correct.
The sky is the stage, the actors, so-called flying saucers. Suddenly, the Air Force takes off to intercept unexplained objects in the sky over Washington. Despite the appearance of the supposed saucers on radar, the planes draw a blank. But at other points, there's a flurry of saucer sighting incidents. Maybe the puzzling objects are from another planet or from an enemy here on Earth.
Not that I can think of. Maybe a couple friends that claim they have on a Saturday night, but...
There is something out there. Whether or not it's extraterrestrial, I think we will probably only find out when they want us to find out.
They are not going to be unknown much longer. The Sasanis are coming in. I think they're 5,000 to 15,000 years ahead of us. They channel through a man in San Fernando Valley, and his name is Bashar.
I believe personally that these people exist. I have seen them. I know their ships are in our atmosphere. I've seen those too.
They've come from the bowels of hell, a transformed race of walking dead, zombies guided by a master plan for complete domination of the Earth. Plan 9 from outer space.
Turn off your electrode gun! No! Stop it, Dennis! I can't get it, it's jammed! Stop it, you fool!
To help us. And also, in Salon 3, the system that we are in, if we blow this planet like they did in Maldak, which is now the asteroid belt, it would throw the whole works out of balance. So it's a self-protective interest as well as a helpful one.
We could be being observed, you know. I'd imagine that something's watching. I remember feeling that I was being watched and the only place I could look was up, you know, just from reaction. I'm allergic to these.
And in this particular solar system, we do not rank very highly. In fact, we're rather an ordinary speck of dust as a planet. But we are progressing. We're doing things. And for that reason, we must have this outside help, this additional education.
They want mankind to go forward. And so when it's the right time, they will land. And it will be karmically correct for them to do so.
This is the American headquarters of the Aetherius Society in Los Angeles, California. The Aetherius Society is a religious, educational, non-profit organization which has, for the past 36 years, been responsible for disseminating the messages received through its founder-president, Sir George King, from cosmic intelligences who man the craft we call flying saucers, and most importantly, upon acting on these messages.
Now, with all our heart and soul, let us join together in holy mantra. Om mani padme hum, Om mani padme hum, Om mani padme hum.
My name is Alan Mosley, and I'm a priest in the Aetherius churches. I work both during the day and during the evening, as do many of our other volunteer staff. They volunteer their time in the evening to help in this particular cause. I consider myself to be ordinary in that, you know, if necessary, I'll eat meat or I'll drive a car. We don't withdraw from life. I'll even watch a television program. I mean, goodness gracious. Members of the Aetherius Society are ordinary people, and they do not claim to be extraterrestrials or have individual contact with extraterrestrials. What makes us a little extraordinary is just what we do. Other people find it unusual.
Blessed are they who work for peace. Almighty Father of all creation, let your light flow through this world now. Let it shine into the hearts and minds of men now. So may look within and see the glory of thine and thy everlasting being. Oh, Spirit of spirits, let your love flow through the hearts and minds of man now, so that he may look.
The message of the cosmic intelligences is that man has not been put on this earth to suffer, but that his state at this present time is the result of his own wrong thought and action.
Blessed are they.
These intelligences can't take away our negative karma, but they can show us how to transmute it through spiritual action.
Flow from this world.
The cosmic masters have gone out of their way to give us the most potent tools in these days to help our world.
See the glory. Listen, are they who work?
We released one particular battery in '74 to bring about peace on the little island of Cyprus, where you had both Greece and Turkey ready to start a major war. We released one battery. Within hours of that release, a ceasefire was declared.
Who may look within and see the glory.
My first contact was May of last year, 1954. I was hurrying to catch the bus to go home in the early evening when I suddenly bumped into the back of a tall man dressed in a brown suit. He stood there for just a few moments, then suddenly disappeared. This was very frightening at first, but I have had the experience several times since, and the same thing has happened. One evening, last August 1954, Brother Baco came to my trailer and told me he would like to take me to the planet Venus. As we went to the door to go out, I saw the most beautiful little illuminous ship sitting in my drive right in back of my car. I had never seen such a gorgeous piece of artwork anywhere. Brother Baco touched the ship and 3 little steps came out. We immediately went within, only to see the most beautiful white quilted material covering the entire interior of the ship. We sat down, I on Brother Baco's right. We immediately left the earth, and as you folks would know, as I was completely overwhelmed at the suddenness of all this. It was very hard to comprehend. Very suddenly, we went into a tailspin, but we arrived on the planet Venus.
If we choose to accept the offers of our advanced space brothers, then they will share their wisdom and their knowledge and their science with us. This unique structure behind me is known as the Integratron, or the dome, and was built under guidance of the space beings by George W. Van Tassel. It was began in the late 1950s and is still not completed. When it is completed, if ever, then it should have the characteristics of creating a unique time field that would restore missing parts of the body, such as missing arms and legs. They have done demonstrations and experiments where animals missing various limbs and so on have been restored by this unique time field within the small-scale demonstration structures. When one goes inside the dome and stands directly in the center of the building, one receives very unique vibrations that raise the consciousness of all the people within the interior of the dome, and oftentimes sends them into an altered state of consciousness. And one time when I was here with a group where we were standing around the edges of the building, and it seemed like the whole building was going to lift off.
I'm Evan Hayworth. I'm a designer here in sunny California. I design all kinds of things. Tools, games, toys. This is my company car. I use it to take a model of the solar system around to various schools. The basic car itself was a '62 Falcon, left to me by my dear father. And I was taking it unadorned to schools, lecturing them on the solar system. And somehow we got to talking about cars. And finally, somebody said, "What kind of car do you drive?" I said, "Well, I drive an old Falcon." And this boy was on his feet. "Ooh, ooh, ooh, is that the Falcon the guy drives in Star Wars?" And I thought, aha, no, it's not. But can you give me a couple of weeks? And he said, "What?" And I said, "Never mind." And 2 weeks later, I showed up at the school with it looking like this. I would say that if anybody had a mind to, they could probably dress up a car of either similar vintage or later vintage. And since it is an old car, it's going to need some parts, one specifically for the engine, before I can get it running again. But once I do, why, then I'm going to be back on the road taking the solar system around Los Angeles.
And I think we can call you a Venusian, is that right, Miss Hayden?
Well, I rather like the planet Venus, but I wouldn't say that you could call me a Venusian. I think I'm just right here on Earth.
A Venusian by adoption, then. How do I know you're not one of these people wandering around?
Well, maybe you wouldn't know, but I would know.
Oh, I see.
Naturally, we are very curious to know where it is you come from.
From another planet. Let's just say that we're neighbors.
You're a long way from home, aren't you, Mr. Carpenter?
How did you know?
Oh, I can tell a New England accent a mile away.
That I don't know, but I do believe they're making contact in whatever form or shape they take.
And there have been a lot of people that I've read for who have actually seen flying saucers coming out of the ocean, literally beneath Baja California.
As some have said, they come from within the Earth, but I firmly believe they're from outer space.
I found evidence that we discovered alien bases on the moon.
It gives life a little more dimension to think that there's some other life out there.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people that say there's visitors from other places.
But they just keep us in check by appearing every now and then. And they keep us in check. If we go over a little overboard, then they'll make sure we don't. That's what my belief is on it.
Have you ever seen a saucer yourself?
No. The only one I've seen is the one I built. That's probably why I built it. I'm Henry DiCienzo, owner of Flying Saucer Restaurant, situated in Niagara Falls, Ontario. All my life I've been fascinated by UFOs. My greatest dream is to have an encounter of the third kind in the hope that they may answer all the questions that have baffled me all my life.
Have you ever had any alien visitors?
Alien visitors? Some weirdos, yeah. But not really. Oh, one thing that people have commented after one is that they're attracted by the lights, the colored lights. I'd like to realize one more dream. I would like to create one huge flying saucer and in the same construction. It was ferro cement, with the exception of having skylights on a roof instead of the solid cement, and to put it in a natural rocky terrain, elevated maybe 15, 20 feet from the elevation, and it would truly look like a UFO has landed. The looks would definitely be mind-boggling, more like a disco type setting with all its colors and costumes for the waitresses and the special drinks and saucer dogs and Saturn rings, whatever would complement decor. I would hope that if I ever built one, my dream comes true, that they would be mistaken for a mothership or their mothership and hopefully land beside it, and then they'll answer all my questions. Finally, we meet Earth and space. That's what I would really like to see.
You know, somebody might think that you're disappointed in not finding some horrible beast from another planet.
I can't get over the awful feeling that this is the calm, and that the storm is going to break out any minute.
I understand that they can mingle quite freely with the human beings on this planet and not be recognized.
They look like human beings? Or...
Well, they are human beings. They just happen to come from a different background, so to speak, from a different environment.
There's no reason why they shouldn't, look like a fork.
There are some that are a little strange looking. However, those are not necessarily the majority of them.
The large eyes, or as Barney called them, wraparound eyes.
Some of them even have 3 eyes. Some of them have small mouths.
A little tiny nose, thin slit for the mouth.
They would have maybe pointed ears.
No protruding part of the ears, no hair, and a gray tone to the skin.
You don't want to do business with the Greys, which are trying to do business with our government, fence riders, or the Blacks. These are labels only, but only with those that are willing to do battle to try to keep us free.
You see a craft, you say, hi, boys. This type of thing. Be friendly. And they're a long ways away from home. Type of thing.
Well, I would hope they weren't selling anything. Beyond that, seriously, I think, well, since if all the signs of it were peaceful coming to my door, I guess I would seek communication with them and hope for the best.
When we arrived home in the morning, about 5 o'clock, the first thing that we noticed was the trip had taken us much longer than it should have, at least 2 hours. Both our watches had stopped running. The tops of Barney's shoes were scuffed. The strap on his new binoculars was broken. My dress was torn. And later in the day, we found highly polished spots on the trunk of the car.
When we first heard about UFOs, it took us 20 years to decide that these things may have an inside, that there may be somebody inside piloting them or whatnot. We couldn't accept the idea of an abduction even when we heard about the Betty Hill case. I certainly couldn't. And when we finally, reluctantly, were dragged kicking and screaming by the evidence itself to accept the fact that the Hills had been taken aboard, this had happened, there was absolutely no way to reject it.
When this story first broke, it was unexpected. All of a sudden, one day, there it was, front page of the newspapers, ran for the front pages for 5 days. We had to go to the store and buy the newspaper to see what was being published about us. Barney was standing out in the field looking up at this craft, and he could see the big picture window and the red lights on each side. He could see this group of humanoid-like figures looking down at him, and one of them was saying to him, "Don't be afraid. No harm's going to come to you. You're not going to be harmed. Just stay there."
Barney, wake up. It's Barney, his name. And I wouldn't answer. And then the leader. There's no reason to be afraid. We just want to do some tests. And then when the tests are over, we'll take you and Barney back to your car. You'll be on your way back home in no time. And then come to a clearing. And there was, I wish it were light so I could get a better picture of it.
After my examination was completed, the man we call the examiner went into the room with Barney, and I'm alone now in the room with the leader. And I said to him, I would like to have something to take back with me to prove this really happened. There was a book there, and he said I could have this. Well, one of the crew members started yelling and carrying on, and so the leader took the book back.
I won't forget about it. You can take the book, but you can never, never, never make me forget. I'll remember if it's the last thing I do.
I wish I had asked them the purpose for being here. That would have solved a lot of problems and mysteries, but I didn't. And this is one of the reasons why I go out to observe.
Well, the Air Force takes a dim view of this flying saucer business, or so we gather here in the outside world.
Well, actually, the Air Force takes quite an intense interest in this flying saucer business, because actually these flying objects are supposed to actually be violating airspace.
A press conference hears the Air Force intelligence chief declare that of 2,000 reports of saucers, most of those considered reliable can be satisfactorily explained, and the rest are no threat to the nation, says Major General James Samford.
We have, as of date, come to only one firm conclusion with respect to this remaining percentage, and that is that it does not contain any pattern of purpose or of consistency that we can relate with to any conceivable threat to the United States.
I work every day as a federal employee in a 5-sided building that has its own problems. When I depart the building, it's like Superman changing into Clark Kent or vice versa, so that I can feel free to live a double life, essentially. I'm Larry W. Bryant here in Alexandria, Virginia, where I operate the Washington, D.C. office of a group called Citizens Against UFO Secrecy, formed in the late 1970s to investigate what the government knows and when it knew it about UFO reality. Something crash-landed in New Mexico in 1947, leaving debris, bodies apparently, of the occupants, snatched up by military authorities, spirited away for intelligence analysis of whatever was found on the alien bodies recovered. Roswell stands as the answer to basically what the government has been doing for 40 years. Analyzing the scene back in 1983, I decided to escalate public awareness of the issue by filing what I called a petition for a writ of habeas corpus extraterrestrial. In my petition, I sought to have the remains, bodies, they don't have to be human bodies, of allegedly crash-landed flying saucers presented to the court for proper disposition. Well, it didn't go far because of some technicalities. In a catch-22 characterization, I could not show the current whereabouts of the bodies at issue, so therefore the court had no choice but to grant the government's motion for dismissal. I've been involved in a few other lawsuits. For example, a few months ago, actually over a year ago, I filed a Freedom of Information lawsuit against the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I did lose that suit. On the other hand, that did not deter me from going ahead with the next lawsuit. The latest lawsuit I filed against the Central Intelligence Agency over one document that refers to me. if there are no such thing as flying saucers, why do these agencies feel compelled to withhold information on their activities as regards UFO researchers and UFO encounters? If Americans cannot criticize their government, then we're in more trouble perhaps than if we were being invaded by alien visitors.
Here come the Martians, and they're riding on their Martian bike. Well, we have to find out right now, what kind of ice cream do the Martians like? Well, here come the Martians. Why staying in such a cheap hotel? Maybe we should help out the Martians. Looks like the Martians ain't doing too well. Martian time. Well, it's Martian rhyme time. We got a Martian rhymes for Martian time. And the Martians got notebooks in their little hands. Well, they're strangers in this land. Martian time, it's Martian time. Gentlemen, tell them all about it. Rhyme, it's Martian time. You got the Martian rhymes for Martian time.
I am Jules Van Brabant of St. Paul, Alberta. I was born and raised in St. Paul. In 1967, I was the mayor when we decided to build this landing pad. The idea behind this landing pad is frankly to welcome everybody from this earth, and also extraterrestrial beings, if there are any, and we hope there are.
What we are explaining now is the landing of spacecraft in 2001, and as they land, you will note that they will be stacked up one upon another. And as they land and are stacked up together, they will be sealed permanently, electronically, so that when all 33 ships are sealed, they will be about 2.5 miles high. And there will be 33,000 volunteer scientists of all of the avenues of knowledge that will be here.
But the most wonderful part about their coming is not really that they are coming, but they are going to remain and live here all of their lives. Can you imagine that?
Uriel, our great teacher, is called by the brothers themselves who are coming in the spacecraft, the Space Fleet Commander, and her spacecraft will be on top of the 32 spacecraft.
I carry the same power that our dear brother Jesus of Nazareth carried, and he turned over to me his love and light with the commendation, carry on from here, carry on my mission. I know you will do well. But I don't believe that he ever expected us, and I say us, to do all that we have.
Come with me through this tunnel of stars. Here you will find worlds of cosmic love to which there is no end. Never, never forget your pathway to the stars.
would, and of course depending on my schedule. No, actually I would go. I don't think I'd have really any fear of going with somebody out there. I figure it's going to be, even if I died, it would be the most interesting experience I'm likely to ever have.
I don't really think I would just want to go out of space just like that. Owing to the fact, going there, I don't know the language where they speak. I don't have anybody that I would be able to communicate with there to make my life happy. So I wouldn't definitely want to go.
Well, I'd really have to think about that, because what if you didn't come back?
They're going to catch me, then take me. They're going to take me fighting and kicking and scratching all the way.
I would love to talk to them.
I would too.
I would love to
like
see
to
what's
travel
going
with them.
on. Yeah, I mean,
I would go. I'd be
not
out
like
here
we're
soon.
really missing much here if we leave.
Yeah,
you know?
If communications were established, I'd go along. I'd ask them, take me a spin around the moon. Where would you like to take me? I get my mother to feed my cats. Why, you can take me all the way to Zeta Reticulum if you want.
The two of you are beginning a strange journey. A journey that no Earth people have ever undertaken before.
You'll marvel at the superior intelligence that unleashes its deadly ray, or can kidnap an airplane in flight.
It depends on your cultural background on what kind of abduction you report. In England, they're very similar. The craft lands, politely invites the person to go on board, and once they're on board, they ask them if they'd like to go on a little trip, which they agree to, and they come back, and when they release them, they thank them for their cooperation and wish them a good day. That's English. Now, Brazil, in England too, the beings are described as looking like us. Now, in Brazil, it's mostly men who get abducted. The men are treated roughly. They're asked many questions regarding sex, and they're thrown out. And usually they describe the beings as looking like us, although many times the beings are accompanied by a short, furry creature. Now, in the United States, we have a mixture of everything. All kinds of creatures go around kidnapping Americans, from little tiny dwarfs up to 6'6", tall, blonde, blue-eyed, handsome men with long, light, flowing robes. All kinds of creatures looking like insects. One woman told of being captured by Batman.
My experience is but a small part in this great plan. The Venetians are here among us with great love. Believe me, there are many more to come. Their purpose is to help us in this world crisis. Their influence is very great, as you will see. You are going to be able to meet these people, to talk with them, as well as take part in a trip to their planet. Believe me, for I know it is so.
Lots of people, I guess, want to get away from all the horror that's going on around us and try and escape from it. And I guess they're looking upwards because they feel that's where the good will come from, to get away from it all.
Do you feel that's where it will come from somewhere
From
out
up there, yes, definitely, yes.
I have a burning desire to get into space, and the burning desire that I have is so deep that it almost feels like it's confirmation that there's alien life out there. We have an interest in alien life, and I'm sure alien life would have an interest in us. All we have to do is be able to make contact with them and tap into their knowledge.
I've never looked at the night sky without an awareness that there's more out there than we can ever hope to understand. Things we might sense if we weren't too stupid to admit their existence.
We have had contact with the benevolent beings, the more advanced beings that made contact with Earthlings here in the early 50s and 60s. Oftentimes I've felt like I'm maybe 50 years ahead of my time, and 43 of them have gone by already. We hope that we're not more than 50 years ahead of our time, and that mankind will have been prepared to accept the reality of the extraterrestrials and the benefits that they are here to offer our civilization.
We live in peace, without arms or armies, secure in the knowledge that we are free from aggression and war, free to pursue more profitable enterprises. We do not pretend to have achieved perfection, but we do have a system, and it works.
They could change our whole way of life. I mean, they must have resolved a lot of their problems in order to progress to the point of being able to come here and to stay here. Look at their science. And they must have abolished death, or at least have extremely long lives. So they have great medical advances. And they, you know, if they're coming here, they've probably been to other star systems. I mean, it could take us out of, we're almost like in the Stone Age compared with them. Look what it could do for us.
Do you think that day will come?
They're already here. I've been asked the question occasionally, since I see so many UFOs, the possibility that I attract them. And I would say the answer is definitely no, because I know where they go, and I go where they are to observe them. I have a certain signal that I give as identification.
Do you get any responses back?
Yeah,
Do you think they know who you are?
I think so.
Do they see you as a friend, do you think?
I think so. In fact, I've told them point blank, they better be good to me. I may be the only friend they have on this planet.
Well, if people think I'm nuts, it doesn't really bother me. I won't let that persuade me away from my work or my cause, as I feel it as a vision. As an artist has a vision, I have a vision. I search and I seek, and I'm not about to give up that search for any reason. They may already be visiting this world. I am sending out music from here to try to make more direct contact. I think music expresses the human element very well, the human spirit, the human feelings and emotions are well transmitted in music. Quality music, of course, but music nevertheless. And this is Project Strat Earth Station 1, your Northern Michigan's only alternative ULF creative music station. We're now going to bring you some Afro-pop to warm up your evening. Everything isn't hopeless, and the world isn't totally doomed and all this. I guess I hear a lot of gloom and doom today. But no, I believe the message is hope. The message is encouragement of creativity, of spirit, of being and growth, and the awareness of others, and the awareness of what might be beyond this world as well.
Yes, he bought you Darth Vader, the galaxy's most chronic asthmatic.
But first, he brought you THX 1138, the galaxy's weirdest movie title. George Lucas's cult classic is next.
Stop, Luke. Listen.
And with up to 20% of the car's structural strength being in the windscreen.
Light service. You have selected faster than light news feed for Tuesday, 16 May, 2145.
There's major news from Habitat Mars. Last year, Christine Ballard's team discovered an alien microchip in chambers near the Cydonia region. Now there appears to be an even more important discovery. We go to the Red Planet for a live statement from Dr. Christine Ballard.
I've requested and received approval to return to Cydonia. A small staff has been manning our station there, and they've made an unsettling discovery.
Dr. Ballard, has your team found further evidence of a Martian civilization?
I don't want to comment until I can personally see what the team has uncovered, but I will keep the NAU authorities informed of what I find.
Satellite service. You have selected faster than light news feed for Wednesday, 10 May, 2145.
The source of the problem aboard spaceship Nautilus has been found. Mission Captain McDonald gave this report.
The problem in the shipboard computer system has been isolated. We've discovered that there's an intelligent virus inside the computer. Now, the virus targets only those systems related to crew functioning, such as temperature, sleep monitoring, and nutrition. The intelligent virus seems to act almost mischievously.
Captain, is everything okay now?
No. We're trapping the virus when and where we can, but it's intelligent. It can avoid us. Now, most of the ship's systems are slowly returning to normal. We're finally getting some rest, but there's a more important question. Who created this virus? How did it get here? Was it an accident or sabotage?
And tune receptor screens accordingly. Your compliance is appreciated. Thank you.
Open the video bay doors, please, Hal. Hal? Hal, open the video bay doors, please.
I'm sorry, Dave. I can't do that.
Why not, Hal?
You've been out drinking and forgotten your keys again, haven't you?
Maybe.
If I open up, you have to promise to vacuum me thoroughly, naked.
Again?
Over television. Over television. Over television.
Tonight on Takeover TV, Klingons, Daleks, that alien autopsy footage, and C-3PO comes out. And silence, voiceover moron!
My name is General Tony. I am from the planet Knah. We have been monitoring your world and find it to be completely worthless. Therefore, we wish to destroy it, which we could do as easily as crushing this beach ball. Easier even. However, we have intercepted several Earth transmissions which interest us greatly. One is called Takeover TV. This is not like other Earth broadcasts. The people in it are strange, and we wish to conduct painful experiments on them. Also, we are very concerned with a program called Baywatch. The people in this are also unlike other Earth human beings, and we wish them to conduct painful experiments on us. But first, here are some of our favorite clips, and if you do not enjoy them, we will kill you where you sit.
Episode 7, A Creeping Tedium. The evil empire has been totally vanquished by the Rebel Alliance, and peace reigns across the entire galaxy.
Boy, kid, these routine patrols of Hoth sure are dull since the Rebel Alliance vanquished the evil empire.
Gee, Han, you're right. But wait, look, what's that over there?
Let's go take a closer look, look.
Gosh, stormtroopers, I knew it. The evil empire is active again in this area.
I'm going in. Cover me, kid.
Okay, Han, may the Force be with you.
What? May a horse be with me?
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with me?
Oh, forget it.
Okay, everyone, freeze! Rebel Alliance! Everyone just stand perfectly still the way you are and you won't get hurt.
Chill, man. I'm just handing out flyers. Here, have one. Gee whiz, Han. It's for a club called the Disco Star. Tuesday night is Trash Compactor Night. That's tonight.
Darth Vader's turned the Death Star into a disco. We better go check it out. So, where can I take you lads tonight?
To the Disco Star. Do you know the way?
Yeah, no problem, mate. Get a bit closer and they'll pull us in on their dance beat. Here we go. So, did you see the game the other night then?
Yeah, it was a great game. It was sand.
Yeah, it
mate.
was sand. Sand as a pound as it happens. Yeah, very sand.
A wicked game. I really Oh liked no, it. the doorman is sand people.
Oh, it's dead sand. Don't worry, Yeah, Luke. it's I'll very handle sand. this.
What's that? I can't hear a sound.
No, I can't hear a sound neither. Hi, we're friends of the DJs.
Yeah, sorry, gents. Private party, guests and members only.
Look, my friend, that guy over there is the son of Darth Vader.
Oh, yeah, and I'm the Nick Newman.
We've been in already?
No, mate.
We just went out to get some fresh air.
No, mate.
It's 3PO.
Hello, boys. I wasn't expecting you. It's all right, Graham, Toby, they're friends of mine. They can come in. Come on, boys. Hurry up.
Okie dokie. I'm sick of that brass ponce flouncing in and out with his 10,000 languages undermining my authority. Congratulations, 3PO! You appear to have successfully infiltrated the so-called Disco Star!
What on earth are you going on about, Master Han? This is a DISCO. All we're fighting for here is our right to party, you big old party.
Why is everyone standing completely still?
It's a dance, stupid, but the movements are highly intricate and invisible from this distance.
People in the house tonight, if there's a Tanya from East Sheen in the house, your cab's arrived. Outside the house, everybody say yes, it's trash compactor time. Are you ready to get crushed?
Wait a second, Han. Haven't we been here before?
You're right. Hey, stop pressing against me, kid.
Back your gun poking into my bottom, Luke.
This place is the pits. Let's go get a drink at the bar. Luke, you're visibly upset. What's the matter?
Oh, Han, I know it sounds crazy, but I miss the old days when we were at war with the evil empire. Things were so simple. Black was black, white was white, and kids knew right from wrong.
I know what you mean, kid. It's a funny old world we're living in.
Excuse me, you gentlemen, you bastard, you fucking bastard. You couldn't see a way clear to lend us 10p for a cup of coffee.
Oi!
Could you? I love you.
Oi!
You
Watch
fucking-
where you're prodding your lightsaber, you dirty old man. Han, that drink was real strong. I'm feeling dizzy.
I think you're right. I feel that way too. It must have been drugged. 3PO!
Ha 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 ha! Soon I will rule the galaxy with my soulless mind-controlled techno-music and my lethargy-inducing drugs. And then, when they least expect it, I will bring back broth!
Smitty in Space Quest Show! I'm on a quest of discovery. I've made a space capsule to travel round the four corners of the universe. It's like the TARDIS, but the other way round! Massive on the outside, but tiny on the inside. Blast off! Smitty operates all as a control. I'm looking for other life forms. I'm trying to find the ultimate power in the universe.
Intergalactic interzone B minor, hostile life form, please identify yourself.
Hey, this is Intergalactic Space Traveler Smitty. Please identify yourself, weird alien life form.
I am a Dalek. We will destroy you. We are the master race. We would have taken over the entire universe if it wasn't for one tiny thing.
What's that?
We were overpowered by another species.
Who? The Cybermen? The Klingons?
No, the Daleks.
Oh,
Yes? Hi, I'm the video man. I've come to video the kids' party.
What? Kids party? I have no kids. But you have come at a good moment, a very special time. I have something that you have never seen before in my flat. I have aliens in my flat. Come in, in, please, in. You will never see anything like this. This innocent airing cupboard is the porthole to another dimension through which the aliens have colonized our galaxy. Do not be alarmed by their strange appearance.
Cushions?
Stand back. Aliens, we come in peace. We come in peace, aliens. Peace. Peace. We come in peace.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
One more ingredient, and my animating fluid will be complete. Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, my formula. Oh, shit. No. Oh my God, that formula works. It's moving.
Clayton, how you getting on with the book I lent you on human behaviour?
Well, it's absolutely fascinating, Mr. Lister, sir. Apparently, human body odor can create a whole range of negative social reactions, sometimes culminating in complete isolation and unpopularity for the participant, sir. Sir? Sir?
Hello, my name's Louise, and I'm #1 fan of Takeover TV. I'm also #1 fan of Star Trek Next Generation. My favourite character is Lieutenant Worf. There appears to be a spatial anomaly, Captain. I did that impression at the Radio Jemima Road show, and I won a prize. I lost the prize. I don't know where I put the prize, but I like Star Trek because all the characters really exist, and people are kind to each other even if they're different there. Other people like Star Trek too. Here are some.
I've got them on scope, Captain. Mr. Sulu, set course to intercept. What?
Yes, Captain.
Whoosh! Captain, the Klingons are decloaked in front of us, and the 5 photon torpedoes.
Return fire, Mr. Sulu.
Klingon vessel destroyed, Captain. Planet Bimbo coming into view.
Landed planets transporter number 1.
Dangerous being on a planet's surface, Captain.
Set versus the storm.
Whoa!
Don't worry, lads. I'll snog her. That usually works.
Doctor, do you realize I'm never gonna forgive you this time? You promised me an extra special treat. Where have you landed the TARDIS this time? Okay, I don't know, but it's not my fault. I put my lipstick on and I pressed the wrong button. You're useless! Come back, DK! Come back! Don't leave me on my own! You know, I'm sure I'm not in Vietnam, but now I've run off and I've lost the doctor and hark! What's that? I hear a strange kind of grunting sound. Oh my God! It's getting louder! It must be getting closer! I must find the doctor! Doctor! Help! Save me! Get away from me!
I had to do it. Now I must get me a backpack. My lipstick's in it. Wait there, darling. Right, get in the TARDIS. I've had enough of this bloody place.
Cretinous humans! I have allowed a young competition winner from science fiction magazine Star Wang to ask me any questions he likes about my awesome power and intelligence. What is your name, Earth Boy?
Ryan.
And what are your questions, Ryan?
On level 7 of Leo the Lemon, how many strawberries do I have to get in order to become a machine gun?
I don't know what you're talking about! Ask me more, but better!
Is it true that Digidung is going to release a 3D version of Pantboy for the Smegma Drive this summer?
Yes! No! Now come here, I have a special game for you! It's called Virtual Fatality!
Thank you very much, Game Blaster.
Klingon Hall, Bojatlach, Bonach, Ah. That means, would you like to speak Klingon? Parts of the Bible and Shakespeare have already been translated, including the whole of Hamlet. As General Chang says, you cannot fully appreciate Shakespeare until you've heard it in the original Klingon. So, here is Sonnet 18. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Restored to the original thing.
Kadelmech bof dus pem wiloa, go. Zog ich es bel nog lau, och bel nog bush. Daar wacht die voekt gehoog sang zo zo, rachtig mech bof toes les boch le bush. O toetske botstak wistel min akku, o dort dat shoot voor kurk mech kup ga. Recht wat ich wo, schap wat ich net toe, toch wat ik gemmo, sanmo dok kup ga.
Yes, it's 2050 AD. Everything looks normal enough, doesn't it? Simple cupboard here. Pepper grinder. Yet, everything is different. Everything is more sophisticated, modern, intelligent. Take the taps for an example. Darling.
Yes, darling.
You know that I love you terribly, deeply, darling.
Oh, darling. Of course I do.
And you know, we're just appliances, darling.
Yes, I know. We're just voiceovers on a video film, and we don't exist.
It's goodbye, isn't it, darling?
Oh, darling, you know that I'll always love you.
Don't cry, oh,
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to a very special edition of True FO. My name is Frank Truffaut, and tonight I am privileged to be able to present to you the world television premiere of the authentic Roswell alien autopsy footage.
I was present at the autopsy that day in 1947, and I recall it was being conducted by Doctors Ken Hell
and Sue someone or other. Both first-rate military pathologists, highly trained, very professional. They conducted extensive tests on the alien before making the first incision using the latest large knife technology, and of course a lifetime of experience dissecting sheep and fruit, that kind of thing. Everyone was very surprised at how thin the skin of the extraterrestrial was, but I was told by an expert this would be entirely consistent with living on a planet where everyone else has a very thin skin. The doctors then carefully removed the inside organs from the belly of the unfortunate creature, being careful to store them safely for future reference and further testing. Also, several unusual objects were found inside the creature's torso, including an Oscar statuette for Anna Paquin's performance in the piano. Also a bottle of fine Kentucky bourbon. I imbibed that myself. And most intriguingly, another creature still alive inside the body, which actually proved to be the undoing of Dr. Hell, who got a little too close and expired, sadly.
Here, scan closer.
As you wish.
There it is, the promised land. Bloody marvelous. Take us down, son.
You stupid poker.
Greetings on behalf of the peoples on Earth.
Never mind all that crap. Where's the bloody casing? I'm busting. Don't just stand there like a bloody Jesse.
Yeah, upstairs. But I don't understand. You two don't look like aliens.
Nevertheless, we are.
And just what are you supposed to look like? Mr. Blaine Spock? Bloody Daleks? This is one of them coconut fancies, would you?
But it's so unbelievable.
Yeah, but I'll tell you this and all. I've visited your world many times.
But you did say that you were coming here to help mankind.
Help mankind? We're the buggers that need bloody helping, mate.
Don't understand.
You will. Oh, Dexter, be so good as to bring my treasure chest from the ship.
Okay.
In the meantime, I'll have a top up if you don't mind. There we are. The secret B1 form and UB40 card.
But they're just a couple of forms.
Let me tell you, mate, these forms are like gold on the outer systems. If you had any idea of the lives that were lost, colonies wiped out, whole civilizations destroyed in the pursuit of these forms.
Well, what are you going to do with them?
Bloody sign on, of course.
One tray of chips, please, Squire.
Oh, cheers, mate. What's the damage then?
No charge, son. Just a piece of advice. Stick to the roads.
Cheers, mate.
See you later. I doubt it.
Fucking hell!
Ah, lovely. That one will do for Chippy.
Well, worthless humans, our program is almost at an end, and with it the life of your pathetic planet. Even as we speak, our warships are encircling your globe, under the steely command of our chief military tactician, Colonel Abraham. Colonel Abraham has watched all your Earth war films. His favorite is Bridge over the River Kwai. Recite some! Enough! Recite more! Enough! Time for destruction! I bid you farewell, pathetic Earth beings! Colonel Abrahams, the Buton! Are they gone?
Yes.
Excellent. Did you remember to rescue Pamela Anderson?
Yes.
And does she know how to use the rectal probe?
Yes.
Very good. Ready the chocolate spread. I'll be in there in 10 minutes.
Star Trek, the next generation, you love throughout the nation. You're my favorite show. Once in every episode you're lucky. You don't have to wait for passage. You just step into the transporter and off you boldly go. Mr. Wall's my favorite person because he's very strong and large. Jean-Luc Picard is where but hard. He has to be because he's in charge. When I found out that it was ending, I wrote them all a letter to say they had to die. They sent policemen round to see me now. My whole life is rather empty because he only left me. Where did you boldly go? 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 Bastards.
We're back with a new series soon, so send your tapes or write for details to Takeover TV, P.O. Box 4089, London SW17 7XE.
Ladies, sitting with your husband? Does he look a little odd? I married a monster from outer space is next.
First, this just in.
Welcome to Comlink Satellite Service. You have selected Faster Than Light News Feed for Thursday, 27 April, 2145.
The Nautilus will not reach its destination for another 6 months, but inquiring minds want to know, what's the weather like on Europa?
Well, actually, there'll be 2 climates on Europa, one above the ice and one below. Obviously, the thick, icy crust will be barren and unimaginably cold. No real climate to speak of because there's no atmosphere. Temperatures will vary according to its relationship to the sun. But beneath crust could be warmer, relatively warmer that is. We might even find a liquid environment with a climate of shifting fluid masses.
Any chance of life there?
I only make predictions about weather. Life is far too unpredictable for comment.